to Eric, all right? And then Carol.
I'm Caroline Kagia, a certified addictions therapist. I am also a speaker and a recovery coach. Other than that, I think the reason I'm here is because I am in recovery, having struggled with alcoholism for 20 years. And I also run a foundation or an initiative called Caroline Kagia Wellness Initiative that assists those who are struggling with alcohol and substance abuse. My passion primarily being geared towards women because speaking as an African woman, it is still the same.
But we'll get to hear more from you as well. And what I really like about your story is a story of hope. That it doesn't matter how long you have struggled with alcoholism or addiction, there is a ray of hope. All right, at the end. And that's a beautiful thing to see and to give so many of us who are here and also watching on TV as well hope. All right, I'm gonna skip PS because and then come to you and then we'll have the PS have the last one.
All right, my name is Catherine Gitao. I'm a psychiatrist by training and currently stationed at the Aga Khan University Hospital where I practice and see patients who come in with alcohol use disorders as well as other mental health disorders. So I'm happy to be here to give the voice of the doctor or the psychiatrist.
It's really good to have you. And you see the reason why I asked, how many of us consider ourselves alcoholics? No one raised their hand, right? I mean, you're here to also help us understand what exactly defines an alcoholic or who is an alcoholic, all right? And I was also told there's a specific term, you don't call them addicts, okay? We'll also learn about that as we continue with this very important conversation. And PS, I'm gonna have the floor for you now.
Thank you, Winnie. Good evening, everybody. I'm Raymond Omolo, the Principal Secretary for Internal Security and National Administration. And let me start by, of course, appreciating the university for having us engaged in this topical conversation. Part of my job is to try and keep all of you safe and sane at the same time.
Safe and sane. I really like that. Okay, keeping us safe and sane. Again, there's so many of us who are also watching. We're live on NTV. So for those of you who are watching us live, remember you can be part of this conversation as well. And I mean, if you have any question, any pressing issue, any pressing matter, we have very able panelists here who will help us answer all your questions as far as alcoholism. And today, like we said, it's all about the sober truth. So we're leaving nothing to chance today in the conversation. So engage with us at NTV Kenya at AKU Global, and that is on X. And let's have this conversation as much as we can and as honest as we can. And Bona PS, I'm going to start with you. There was a meeting that happened in March at DP Rigathi Gachagwa's residence, and Interior CS, that is Sir Kithure Kindiki, said something that I want us to start with. And he said that the government described the current level of trade, consumption, and drugs and illicit alcohol in the country as a national security threat. And that's, you know, including cases of terrorism, banditry, livestock rustling, cultural, religious, political extremism, as well as climate change. So really, how bad is the situation?
I think, first of all, maybe when you try to put things into perspective and also into context, is that we are dealing with a lot of security challenges, whether it's banditry, whether it's terrorism, and probably maybe just to jog our memory, when we had the Westgate attack, the number of Kenyans that were lost. At around March, when we were having these conversations at the Deputy President's residence, we had lost about 20 people in one village in Kirinyaga. Yeah. So if you try to put that into context, then you start to appreciate how serious this is. Now, across the country, we are dealing with a lot of challenges around alcoholism. We've had issues of accidents that happen on account of the drivers being drunk. And we continue to lose lives in ways that then becomes a real source of concern, to the point that we are asking ourselves, as a government, if our responsibility is to look after people, what then would we be telling everybody, or what then will we be saying when the people we are expected to look after are actually not there in the first place? And throughout our discussions this evening, it will be critical for us just to appreciate how bad the situation is. Away from that, then of course there is a illicit trade that happens in that space. So even from a revenue perspective, you have the government not being able to collect what it's supposed to get. From a morality point of view, again, you are having a situation where those who are very minor in age are exposed at a much earlier age.
Yeah.
And if you look at even the data that exists today, across the country, the first point that Kenyans get into taking alcohol is at age 16. That's the average age. Now, if you look at the numbers, you are having 1 in every 8 Kenyans who partake of alcohol. And of this, about 40%, or slightly more than 40%, are addicted. But of course, we have specialists in that space who will be able to speak to us about that. Then, of course, then there is an issue around counterfeit. So there are those who are genuinely doing the business, but then there are others who want to take advantage. And in the process, they make it difficult for people like my friend from ADAC here to do proper business in a manner that is then controlled. So, of course, then a lot of this is also on account of either weak regulations or weak enforcement that also happens across the country. And as we speak today, the existing act that controls the sale and distribution of alcohol definitely has certain gaps.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
and I'm happy that you mentioned the whole aspect about weak regulations and all those things, because you're here today to help us, first of all, understand why these weak regulations, and yet we have the people to protect at the end of the day, right? But before you mentioned 1 in 8 Kenyans aged 15 to 65, right? So there's an aspect of minors in there. So when you talk about regulations, we'll also get to really understand, should we have like more stricter measures? How do we protect our minors as well? Because like you said, 16, the age of initiation, that's a very, very young population which needs to be protected as much as possible. Let's first of all get to understand. So who is an alcoholic, Catherine? Or what does that term even mean when we say alcoholism or an alcoholic?
Okay. For me, I'll take
Ukilipa bill zako na M-Kopa Cash reward ya 1000 inaweza kukukodolea macho. Kuna 100 daily winners.
Shinda cash na M-Kopa Cash. Cooperative Bank. We are you. Terms and conditions apply.
People come to me and they say they get discomfort when they have ice cream. Can you imagine that? Avoiding having cold ice cream. Sensodyne gives you long-lasting protections against sensitivity. And people come in and they're like, oh, it works. I can have ice cream and I'm not in any discomfort. I recommend Sensodyne because it works. It's brilliant.
Don't let dark marks break your confidence. Let your melanin glow.
New innovation, L'Oreal Paris Glycolic Bright Serum, validated with dermatologists, inspired by peeling procedures, powered by glycolic acid. acts deep and fast to reduce 5 years of dark marks in 2 weeks.
Glowing, even-toned skin for you.
New Glycolic Bright Serum, an innovation by L'Oreal Paris.
We're worth it.
Eldora Technical Training Institute. Enroll now in our ongoing May 2024 intakes in the following diploma, certificate and artisan programs. SMS your name, course, grade and email address to 0725 818 644. Eldora Technical Training Institute. Growing reputation.
Yo, what up, party people? It's your boy DJ Exclusive, aka the People's DJ, aka Bazu, and you are tuned in to Kwetu Mix on NTV.
We're bringing you the hottest show in town.
Hey, what's up, my people? It's your girls, your world of baddest.
Kwetu Mix na tuko NTV, au sio?
Lena Bambam, Kwetu Mix kuna ubaya.
From exclusive interviews with the biggest names in the game.
I don't announce, you wait for it.
My mom is my manager. Where? Kwetu Mix on NTV.
To a DJ set that will knock your socks off.
Party people. Welcome to Kwetu Mix.
And snippets from your favorite live performances.
Come on, Michael Jackson.
Don't miss out on the fun. Tune into Kwetu Mix every weekday from 5 to 6 p.m. only on NTV.
Sasa hiyo ni swali au hotuba?
You do your best out there. Let us do our best in here with the disinfecting power of Jake. Because Jake cleans and kills 99.9% of illness-causing germs and COVID-19 in your home. Jake, your family's guardian against germs and COVID-19.
This Sunday on NTV.
We're coming to you from the Masai Mara in the county of Narok.
The biggest threat is really human activities.
Fencing imekuwa shida sana.
There it is, it's coming down.
The drugs that we give actually inhibit the respiration.
A risky but necessary capture to tag this giraffe.
We are using GPS satellite tags to look at how they are using this landscape.
You can only safeguard what you monitor. Whatever you can monitor is hard to safeguard.
The CA Kuza Broadcasting Awards is here. Vote for NFM and NTV for your favorite radio and TV for the Kuza People's Choice Awards. SMS the word Kuza to 15601. Voting is free. Cast your vote for excellence in broadcasting. Voting is ongoing and ends on 22nd May 2024. The CA Kuza Awards is an initiative of the Broadcasting Authority of Kenya. NTV, turning on your world of local entertainment.
African girl from my side of the country, and I didn't like her brand of cigarettes, so I moved to menthol, which I smoked for 19 years. Straight. Then she discovers this girl has never drank alcohol. So she gives me a dare. She told me, if you go along with this dare, I'll bring you a bottle of wine. Aye. Remember, this is the Carol who gave her life to Jesus in?
Yes.
Now this dare would mean I put him at the back burner to do what I need to do.
Yeah, like listen, there's a dare here. And I have
who
to...
have watched my story know what I'm talking about. So I do what I needed to be done, and on Monday I come and report to my friend and tell her I actually did it. And she's so excited. You could think this was for her. And true to her word, she brings me alcohol. It was 12%. Red wine, 250 ml, what we call kanuzu. So
I would know that.
Yes. So she tells me, now because you told me you've never touched alcohol and you have your own bedroom, when you go home, you lock the door, make sure everybody has gone to bed. Those days, news used to be read at 8 p.m. So she tells me, make sure you lock your door, you open the window because alcohol has a smell.
Yes.
And then you sit on your bed.
Okay.
Then you open it and take the first sip. The first sip, you should already feel something. Me, I was picked up from school. I went home, I'm vibrating because I'm thinking, if I'm caught with alcohol in my bag, knowing the kind of parents I have, I don't know what I'm going to do. So I did exactly that. I've waited for everybody to go to bed. Mothers have a thing of going to bed as the last people. I don't know what to look for in the houses.
Make sure all the doors are locked.
The windows, the doors, everything. So me, as Caro, I locked my door 3 times just to make sure it's locked. Then I opened the window, sat on my bed, Took the first sip, I hated it. Took the next one, I felt nothing.
Yeah.
Then my immediate follower had started drinking before me.
Okay.
So he told me, Carol, the day you start drinking, because I know one day you're going to start drinking. If you want to get drunk, you take a gulp, swallow it, and then you flip your head. So that you get a head rush.
I wonder how many of us were told.
Yes, Carol. I've remembered what my brother had told me. I've taken the gulp, done the flip, nothing.
Nothing has happened.
So I said, this thing. In short, I finished the whole kanuzu.
Okay.
Feeling absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
Then I put the bottle in my bag and I slept and I woke up as sober as a judge. Okay? There is no hangover, there is nothing. And you know, I'm not even thinking, tomorrow is a school day, right? What if I'm woken up and I'm smelling funny or two, I'm unable to wake up? What will I tell the person who's waking me up?
Yeah.
So I go to school and I report and I tell my friend, whatever you gave me, it didn't do anything for me. And she was like, you're kidding. I told her no.
And you know what, I'm actually curious because it's not a unique case because you hear a lot of people say, I mean, yeah, I take, like you say, gulp or several of those and you feel absolutely nothing. Absolutely. And then there's another one who just sniffs. Not even taking, just sniffs. And they're all woozy and, you know, all those things. And I wonder how many of us in the audience, okay, most of you said we are not alcoholics, we are not taking it. So, so I'm not even going to ask who amongst us has had such a similar experience. But we also have subject experts. And I really want to indulge Dr. Christopher Opio. And this is right after Eric speaks, to really understand, first of all, why is that the case? At one point, one sniffs, and they're gone. And you, Kanudu, you're Taimanda, and you're still strong, right? Still standing. But Eric, let's first of all get to understand. So there's that aspect of business, okay? But then there's also this other side of social responsibility. I'm pretty sure lots of people have come to you and told you, Sasa nyinyi muna manufacture, nyinyi ndo muna make sure this thing is already available right here in the market. So it is you partly to blame because of what we're experiencing as far as addiction is concerned. I wonder really how you feel about that.
Thanks for that, Winnie. I think from where we come from first, and maybe also just banking on where our PS has mentioned, if you look at the landscape we are operating in, sadly, in 2018, there's our WHO study that was published that indicated 44% of alcohol sold in Kenya is illicit. In the WHO term, it's called unrecorded alcohol.
Okay.
After a period of time, we decided to also do an industry study, and whereas ABAC members, we partnered with several government agencies to just try and identify where are we, what is the state of play. And sadly, the study that we did and completed last year indicated that 59% of alcohol consumed in Kenya is illicit. Imagine 6 out of the 10 bottles you see. That is illicit alcohol.
Very concerning.
And the sad bit, we looked at what are these drivers of illicit alcohol. Of course, we've always said that people are drinking illicit because they can't afford genuine alcohol. Genuine alcohol is too expensive because of the high excess rates, among other taxes that have been charged on it. And the sad bit is that as we see more of illicit cropping up, it's actually reaching to a level whereby it's not controlled. Because genuine players like us will use ethanol, we see elements of even methanol happening. And we've seen elements like the sad incident that happened, which saddened us in Kirinyaga, where you find people consume something with laced with something different. So it's a sad state as a country. The situation would have actually been worse if not for some enforcement activities that have been taken by the government, which we really appreciate when the government takes also these enforcement activities and we support each other. In terms of how to drink and whether to get, others have a headache, there's a science behind it, and I think we have scientists around here. Let them speak more to it. But from where we believe in responsible alcohol consumption. Responsible alcohol consumption, and various players have even different, responsible alcohol consumption message. For example, you'll find situations where we'll tell people that before you even drink, make sure you've eaten. While you are drinking, pace yourself with water. After you've done all that, if you are to operate any machinery like a car, do not drink and drive. And it's a message that we communicate. There are some universities where we've even partnered where you find we train the college students at the point of them getting into college, because that's the time most of them, if they're not inducted at home by parents, again, it's a social issue, most of them we need to discover and to agree on with parents in the room. Some of them are actually inducted at the point of getting to college. So because they want to look cool, they have seen it, you know, they think it's cool to be that way. But our message has always been ensure that it's responsible.
But the numbers are pretty, I mean, 16 years, those people are still in high school. Take Caroline's example, right? These people are still in high school. And I wonder how much control then you have. In as much as, yes, you might say we encourage responsible drinking, we encourage, first of all, understanding and awareness of what responsible drinking is all about. But then at the end, qua ground, like you say, qua ground between different, right? So I wonder how much control really you have.
So there is a bit where, as members of in this industry, we try to control as much as we can. For example, some of the safeguards that we've kept is that when alcohol, we actually, most of it is sold through the bars and, you know, the wines and spirits. We encourage the bars and the wines and spirits to always ensure that you can't sell to an under 18. Now, sadly, you find there are situations where, and I think as a society we need to think deeper. You'll find the alcohol is purchased by somebody above 18 to be given to somebody under 18. At times, and we've seen this even during COVID-19 situation where the bars were closed because parents were drinking in front of their children because they are no longer drinking outside there. Now, you'll always have that daddy nipatie hii, mami nipatie hii. How can you tell your kid it's bad while you're drinking it from there?
Yes.
So those are things that sadden us, especially, and we try as much as possible to reduce exposure because this is an adult beverage meant to be consumed by adults.
By adults. Okay. Boniface will also speak more on some of these laws and regulations and even the Alcohol Act. But before that, Dr. Christopher Opio is amongst us in the audience. Dr. Christopher, one of the questions that I would really first of all want to ask is, number one, is there such thing as recommended amounts of alcohol? And the reason why I'm asking this is because there's some people who would say, asleep and I'm out. And others would say, kanudu, I am still standing. So is there such thing really as recommended or amount of alcohol that is allowed?
Thank you. I think there is. This is documented throughout the world. We know that men have a higher proportion that is recommended than women. But again, it's not one size fits all. So you need to understand that these are population recommendations. So we have heard of stories where individuals, you just take one tot, you're dancing on the rooftop. While we have also heard of stories where people would drink, and really there's nothing.
Happens, yeah.
So I think we don't know a lot, but we need to understand more. That's why we try and push. Knowledge is power. We need to understand the situation. We need to understand cultures, populations. Because certain cultures, for example, where I grew up, it is standard to have alcohol in the house. You start with the pot. When you're drinking, it's simple. And if you go to a home and you're presented with a pot and the beer and you don't take it, they'll feel offended.
Yeah.
While for others, if you're close to a drink, you'll be a pariah, you'll chest out or something of the sort. Yeah. So I think we need to think carefully about that. But we go with the recommended, but it's always with the caveat because it's not one size fits all. Thank you.
All right, so what exactly is that? What is the amount that is recommended?
You know, it's difficult because the Americans have changed. The Europeans have different figures, etc. If you go to the Middle East, it's all different. WHO has their own, which is almost similar to the... So basically they say one drink for women, okay, and 2 drinks.
One drink. One would say one drink is like a whole.
Yes. So when you come to me, I'll ask you. So what do you mean by a drink?
Okay.
Yes. So it's. I say it's based on the culture. So you may say I take a bottle. Basically a glass of wine. So I say, how big is your glass of wine?
Okay.
So the figures are there, but I would put a caveat on, they're just guidelines. So you need to think carefully and say, for particular populations, is the physiology different? You may need to revise that. I do not know. I'll push this back to Catherine. Really, do the recommendations really work?
Yeah.
That's the truth of the issue.
Yeah. And also speaking on sorry, Dr. Christopher, finish?
Yes, so we don't have enough data. We don't do enough research, because I would say those who have problems with alcohol and either substance abuse disorders, we don't get enough funding to support them, either health-wise or doing research, so that we can inform policy. Okay. So I would love to see more funding and more support from the producers, from the government, and also from us, and also from the community. So it's not my problem alone, it is everybody's problem, because I see it, all of us have experiences of the good, bad, and the ugly of alcohol.
True, yeah.
I could ask you, how many of you have lost a friend or a relative?
Almost all of us have, yes.
Yes. But how many times do we joy over alcohol? We sit, we drink, we are happy, it brings good moments and so forth. So I'll push it back to you. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Dr. Christopher. And Catherine, again, just to piggyback on what Dr. Christopher said, in terms of then the tolerance levels, and first of all, what happens to the brain once one indulges, even if it's like this tiny much, because some will say this tiny much, and like Dr. Christopher says, we're on top of the table dancing away the night. But what exactly happens to the brain?
I'm not sure if I need to go into all the details of what happens in the brain.
Not all the details, but just help us understand, yes.
But just before I answer that, can I just follow up on what Dr. Christopher was responding to? So there are some guidelines that would recommend 2 to 3 drinks or standard drinks, as they are referred to, which would be a glass of wine, a tot of maybe 40% alcohol. So there's that recommendation of 2 to 3 standard drinks for women, 3 to 4 for men, and then maybe when you look at a weekly basis, you'd say 15 drinks in a week and 40 maybe for a woman. So the guidelines are different in different places. I agree with that. But then when it comes to that, there is also what you've mentioned, tolerance. So if you take these 2 standard drinks in a day, you will get a certain effect in your brain, which will not be the same maybe 1 week down the line. Maybe 1 week down the line, you'll need 3. So then there's that recommendation of not taking alcohol on a daily basis. So there is this recommendation of if you're going to drink in a day, stick to 2 to 3. And then you don't take daily. And then also, you don't take the 15 in one day.
Okay.
So, because that's what we say, I didn't take the one for Monday, I didn't take for Tuesday, so I'll take all of them maybe on Saturday.
The so-called social drink as well, we meet on Fridays. That's an analysis on what happened from Monday all the way to Friday.
Yes.
Okay.
So, that's where now the guidelines have an issue, because there are so many loopholes there that people can just say, yeah, I can take all my 15 on Friday. Yeah. So, which is also not good for your system, because your body also has to process all that alcohol in one day. So, all in all, I think responsible drinking really is still a very difficult line to draw and say this is responsible drinking.
Yeah. And you know what? It usually starts with that, responsible drinking. Because you talk to anyone who, again, like we said, the term is from today henceforth, please use this. You said alcohol using disorder?
Yeah, alcohol use disorder.
Okay, all right. Yeah. No more addicts, no more alcoholics, okay? Yeah. So they will tell you, it actually started with a sip. If anything, my parents told me, okay? So that you hate the taste and all those things and you live it, or you don't experience it outside, okay? So some people will tell you it started with that, responsible drinking. But before I knew it, I got myself into addiction, right? And I'll come back to you to then understand why is it that there's some people get into addiction very fast and others they will drink forever and ever and ever and still get into that level of addiction. But let's speak to Bonapies. I mean, looking at the data that you presented, can we first of all just address the teenagers, the younger population? what do the numbers look like? How bad is the situation? Because sometimes, I mean, they are in school, and I don't know if you saw this. There's a conversation going on online as far as now they are devising other ways of consuming alcohol that I don't think is PG. We're keeping it PG right here. So you might not actually tell that this person is indulging, but really they are indulging. So how bad is the number, especially when you're talking about this very age group?
So first of all, when you look at the numbers in terms of the earliest point that we start to take alcohol, so you're looking at 16-year-old as the average number, the average age. So it means it's much, much lower than that.
All right.
And a lot of it primarily is on account of exposure. So either you as a parent, you're drinking from the house, so then the kids get to see that this is a normal thing. Now kids are going to school, there's a wines and spirit next door, in the same, sharing the fence, or on their way to school, they see that happening a lot. So that exposure plays a big role in our kids starting to partake of this very early in the day. And then I did mention about the issue around the regulations and the laws that exist. Not for lack of adequate laws that there's this exposure, but there's a gap in terms of enforcement. So in the licensing of bars, it is obvious that this needs to be within a given distance from a school or from a church. We are not actually observing that. And then you have several players. And what we are currently trying to do is to bring everybody on board. So whether it's the person who is responsible for collecting the tax, KRA, there's a person who is looking after counterfeit, there's the county government whose role is to license the retail operators. You have NACADA within my state department that also has a major role to play. So what we are doing is we have fragmented effort across board. And we're now saying, can we have everybody on board, particularly with regards to enforcement? But also it's a responsibility of all of us as a society to really play our part. So as a parent, how much time do you spend to engage your children on what is wrong? And also just being able to explain why it's not right thing for them to do. What is the role of the church? What is the role of the private sector? What is the role of the people who are actually benefiting from the manufacture and sale of alcohol? And where we are at, we are making amendments to the existing laws so that then it takes care of that. So in the case of the counties, we have agreed that they will collect the money because then that is a source of revenue. But then we will do the enforcement and do the licensing and allow them to take the money so that then it is much neater and tighter. Now, beyond that is that there must also be a responsibility that whatever proceeds we get out of the sale, we dedicate a good chunk of it to go towards rehabilitation, towards public awareness, and education as well. And NACADA within our ministry is doing rehabilitation centers across the country. And what we are telling and the conversation we're having with the county governments is that at least in each and every county, we need to have rehabilitation center because there are those who are completely gone to the other stage and they're still part of us. We have a responsibility to look after them. Now, on the illicit trade and on the illicit bit of things, as we try to do the enforcement, and we're in the process of now doing the vetting, particularly for the manufacturers of alcohol. And you'll be shocked that when we set out to do this, out of a record of 63 manufacturers that are on paper, we were only able to get 29 who are actively in operation.
All right.
Now, out of those, after the first set of vetting, you only end up with 2 who are supposed to do the manufacturing. And then subsequently, the rest have a number of issues that they still need to do in terms of compliance, whether it's the laboratory that then does the assessment, the record on the distributorship, because we need to know from the point that the alcohol is manufactured to the point when it's consumed, there has to be some ownership and some traceability.
Okay.
So we are still in the process of dealing with that, and we hope that at the end of the day we'll be able to clean up that space.
Okay.
But then there is much more that all of us must participate in.
Yeah, I'm going to throw it just to you, Eric, in terms of tracking, because that is one of the regulations that the government has set aside, that you need to trace all from a point of manufacturing all the way to your distributors to actually where this is going. I wonder how that is going and how much control you have, and what are some of the things that you have noticed so far. But before you answer that, I'm going to say we're taking a break for those of us who are tuning in live on NTV. But remember, like he said, be part of this conversation. Ask any question that you have on at NTV Kenya and at AKU Global. That is on X, and we'll be taking your questions and all the concerns that you have. So we're taking a break. We will see you very, very shortly. But Eric, I'm going to throw you based on what Bonapies has said.
Okay.
People come to me and they say they get discomfort when they have ice cream. Can you imagine that? Avoiding having cold ice cream. Sensodyne gives you long-lasting protections against sensitivity. And people come in and they're like, oh, it works. I can have ice cream and I'm not in any discomfort. I recommend Sensodyne because it works. It's brilliant.
Don't let dark marks break your confidence. Let your melanin glow.
New innovation, L'Oreal Paris Glycolic Bright Serum. Validated with dermatologists. Inspired by peeling procedures. Powered by glycolic acid. Acts deep and fast to reduce 5 years of dark marks in 2 weeks.
Glowing, even-toned skin for you.
New Glycolic Bright Serum. An innovation by L'Oreal Paris.
We're worth it.
Evo V30 5G.
And we need 2 Royco cubes because iron gives you strength to sukuma yourself to be the best you can be.
Crazy offers. Save up to 180 bob. Buy now at a store near you.
According to information from
Acne-prone skin, marks? Stop. Try new Garnier Charcoal Serum with 4% AHA, BHA and charcoal. The first black serum with no residue. Clinically proven to reduce pimples and acne marks. New Garnier AHA, BHA Charcoal Serum. Approved by dermatologists by Garnier Naturally.
Evo V30 5G.
Show off your best skin with Nivea Nourishing Cocoa Body Lotion with 5-in-1 Complete Care. The deeply nourishing formula prevents your skin from drying with precious cocoa butter and deep moisture for smooth and healthy looking skin.
It's a fate.
Eldora Technical Training Institute. Enroll now in our ongoing May 2024 intakes in the following diploma, certificate and artisan programs. SMS your name, course, grade and email address to 0725 818 644. Eldora Technical Training Institute. Growing reputation.
He will come and save you. He will come and save you. Say to the weary
nothing that God has to give that He's giving to us some other way. It's through Christ. It's through Christ. Have you given your life to Christ? Have you yielded to Him? Have you accepted Him as Lord and Savior of your life? Friends, that's where we begin.
No wall you won't kick down, lie you won't tear down, coming after me. No
The CA Kuza Broadcasting Awards is here. Vote for NFM and NTV for your favorite radio and TV for the Kuza People's Choice Awards. SMS the word Kuza to 15601. Voting is free. Cast your vote for excellence in broadcasting. Voting is ongoing and ends on 22nd May 2024. The CA Kuza Awards is an initiative of the Broadcasting Authority of Kenya. NTV, turning on your world of local entertainment.
Want to know the biggest story of the week? Do not worry. The Weekly Review got you covered. For in-depth analysis of politics, business, governance, as well as social issues, the Weekly Review covers it all. For well-researched, exclusive and investigative content, read the Weekly Review every Sunday in the Sunday Nation.
Paukwa.
Pakawa.
Pakua pakua.
Ya NTV. Tangu mwaka 1999.
Kupakulia sana sana tulichokitaka.
Imeenda. Sasa mapishi ni yako. Tukutane shambani.
Tupime na tuzime maradhi. Tukupe shime.
Tukiziba mashimo. Jumatatu ni mizani. Jumanne ni maisha sasa.
Na Jumatano ni afya yako.
Alhamis ni mduara. Na kila Ijumaa ni vile tunaifeel.
Hadi uchechemue. Chechemua ki Masogora.
Na Jumamosi ni Masogora.
Jumapili
NTV ya kuletea.
Hii ni NTV mpya. NTV yako. Tunakusikiza.
This is NTV.
Many of them see the billboards, they see pink juice because now there's aggressive marketing for women to consume. Yeah. I thank God I stopped drinking in 2016, but I don't think I'll be alive.
The attractive colors.
Oh my goodness, it's calling you. It's calling you. So we need to have these discussions, that also action. I know that even here in this meeting, there is coalitions, people who are in the alcohol policy field, in alliances, just here, who are at the forefront advocating against. And Bwana PS would really, I know there's Nakada, but we would want to also engage further, and how we, as people who are in recovery and boldly speaking about it, be involved with you so that we can also encourage others who are in that deep place to know there is life after recovery. And number two, it is a disease and there is treatment and that they can come out. And then with the family and the friends, they can be able to also get the support they need.
And you know what? We'll actually talk about what support looks like. And the reason why I'm saying that is because you would see some family members who say, this person would come, ask me for money, and if I deny them, they would either steal, either from the homestead, or they will go steal someone else's something, okay? Na badala wakangomwe huko nje, I'd rather just give them. So one would quote unquote term this as support, but is that really what support looks like? But in a second, I'm gonna open the floor because I know you have so many questions. I know you're itching to have the mic and all ask all those questions. But I'm just gonna say welcome back to all our audiences who are watching us live on NTV. remember, we can be part of this conversation by asking all the questions that you have, really, and using the at NTV Kenya, at AKU Global, and those are the X handles that you can use to ask any question, raise any concern, because we have this panelist here, and we also have expert panelists in the audience as well. So feel free to ask any question that you have. Caroline, I know your story is very long. After the Kanudu, didn't feel nothing, went back. So at what point did you get yourself into addiction?
I normally say I was addicted to alcohol from the word go.
Yeah.
Because my tolerance levels kept increasing. Okay. And so when I left the country to go and study overseas, I moved from the brown bottle to hard liquor. And for me, that's where the spiral began. But nobody seemed to notice it, not even myself. And that is where the problem lies, because many people who struggle with alcohol or substance abuse don't even know they have a problem. It normally takes a third party to see and to raise questions. I remember coming back to Kenya because I'd not even finished what took me out there. And so I come back to Kenya, I straightened up for a bit, joined college again. I didn't drink for about 2 years. I joined the choir in our church, started playing the piano because I'm gifted that way. And then the last semester of college, because I'd earned trust from my parents, I decided to become a boarder where I was in college. And that is where things began spiraling, because all my roommates were drunkards. And so after class on Friday, they would come and then they'd dress up and go out to somewhere in South B, Kenya Cinema. Those days, those who are in my age group understand Kenya Cinema, the likes of Dodis, those clubs, Winkers, they were there. And then I would sleep with a Bible and I would tell them, "Nini watu wako Keni," in English, you people get saved. And they would come back on Saturday with their hangovers and they insult me and they tell me everything. Until one day I decided, no, let me join these girls. And in fact, that day I even offered to pay cab fare. So we took a cab from South B and we went to Kenya Cinema. We entered Kenya Cinema on Friday, and what started as a soda for me, we left Kenya Cinema on Sunday. Okay? And that was the first time I toyed with suicidal ideation, which is where you contemplate suicide, because my phone has been ringing, I was supposed to be in church, I am nowhere. And that is where you see when you start struggling with anything basically in life, may it be a chemical addiction, which is alcohol or drugs, or behavioral addiction, which is, things like gambling or porn or masturbation, you become a liar without even knowing. And so here I'm lying that, I was sick, I could not come for choir. In hindsight, I was having a serious hangover, you see? And it continued like that, and for me, I think my dad was the first one to notice I have a drinking problem.
All right.
That was back in 2007. And he wrote me a very long letter. And, the tears of a drunkard are always here. They're always on standby. So I remember reading that message and I said, but then I was having a very high-flying job. I was working with an international media house. So I was like, it's my money I'm drinking, not his. So here, ego checks in. And then the long and short of the story is that in 2016, I had been in a very toxic relationship that had to end. And that is the last time I was employed. I was working for a top-tier law firm in business development, and I just quit. And that's another thing with addicts. They quit without being fired, no warning letter. You just wake up and decide, HR looked at me funny today.
Yes.
You don't want people coming so close to you because you know you're smelling of alcohol. Even if you brushed with I don't know what. For me, it became so bad, even my smoking. I had written a book some time back called Still I Rise, where I write, I would spray my mouth with perfume. That's how bad it was for me. So I didn't want people coming close. Even simple tasks like keying in something. Caroline, key in this onto the computer. My brain is shifting, and it's because now I started even moving to lower brands of alcohol. And at some point, I remember my immediate boss at the last place of employment asked me, "Carol, do you have a drinking problem?" And I was like, oh my God, maybe she has smelt it. So even you start second guessing yourself. And I remember after I got my salary, I switched off my phone, and I was earning very well. I switched off my phone.
HR is looking for you.
She's looking for me. I've moved on. That time I have my daughter was 6 months.
Okay.
So I've disappeared from employment. I'm treasure. I've gone home. I'm excited about the salary in the bank. You know, alcoholics. There's this thing of money staying in the pocket. It's impossible. Then me, I don't like paying rent. Me, I officially stopped paying rent in 2019. You know. And not because that I had a home, I just stopped paying rent. I'm not seeing the point of paying the landlord. So I don't see why. So when the agent comes to look for me, I'm hidden under the bed, and I'm earning over 100,000 shillings by the way. You see, but I just don't feel like, why should I pay?
Why should I? Yeah.
I was even told to have a standing order with the bank. But why?
Okay.
But why?
Yeah. There are better things, quote
There are
unquote.
better things. So now
things to do with that
2016,
money.
I've ended a very toxic relationship. I've ended my last employment. Now I am jobless. I am manless. I am broke. Okay?
2 mouths to feed.
I have 3 mouths there because I'm a salesperson by profession and I've been gifted with the gift of the gab. I can sell ice to a snowman.
Okay.
So I decided my sales tactics have to come into play. And this is why you know that alcoholics are also con men and manipulators. Fact. So you call me, I start crying on the phone. My baby has no food, which is true. She has no diaper. We have no food. Oh, we broke up with what's his name? You sent me 1,000. That 1,000 I've calculated already. As long as it says M-Pesa confirmed, you've received 1,000. Those are 4 quarters. Okay. There is my baby who
no food factors.
Food factor. Me, I'll eat egg and some mutura from the road somewhere.
Okay.
Done with kachumbari or pilipili. Okay. There's that thing with pilipili and alcohol.
Yes.
It works. My baby will eat Weetabix for 25 bob. I'm deciding whether she'll wear a diaper or a nappy.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
And already know nappies give her nappy rush. But then my cigarette brands have moved from high-end brands to the cheap things that I cannot even mention in this forum today.
Yes.
For shame. Anyway, so that's where I've gone. And then people started realizing, I think Carol has a problem. So now there's nobody who wants to give me money. Then one day where I was staying, I discovered a Shylock.
Okay.
And as we speak, he's one of my biggest fans on social media today. And I discovered this guy, he discovers where I live. He's like, oh, you're this and this is daughter. Because my dad is a developer, so we had a home of our own. So I tell him one day, come and give me a visit. Now me here, I am suffering from withdrawals. People talk about withdrawals. I know withdrawals. And so I send him a please call me. He comes. I ask him, how much is this fridge? He says 4K. Tell him, take. Next day, how much is this cooker? 5K. Take. Now, in place of the cooker, I bought the small green thing, that one where you put kerosene.
Yes.
Imagine. In
Stove.
a stone house.
Yes.
I'm using that thing outside. My neighbors are wondering, this chick is going crazy.
Yeah.
Okay, my son's bicycle, bed, things. The things men normally do.
At some point, you sold doors.
Oh, yes.
Like, I mean, who would think?
That was the end. Towards the end, when I realized now
there's nothing else to sell.
The only thing I didn't sell was my TV because I used to hallucinate. I've won money in a betting spot pesa. I've won in dollars. Okay? And funny enough, even before I sold those doors, so that you know the mind of an addict is not like the mind of a normal drinker. I remember that particular night there was on TV, there was this story that came about a particular brand that had killed people in Embu and had made them blind. In my house I had 4. At that point, when I'm watching, do you know what I did? I'm drinking as I tell God, God, please,
that's not
spare me.
Oh, wow, okay.
Spare me from this blindness. I need to live to see tomorrow.
All right.
So towards the end, I remember one day the Shylock called me and asked me, are you home? I told him, yes, I'm home. That time I've sold everything, including my seats. We are sitting on the floor. Okay. He asked me, Caro, why do you drink so much? I told him, no, it's because I'm going through stress. And he asked me, then why do you sell everything to me? I told him, I'm going to Dubai. So on his way out, he tells me, hey, Karen, your doors are nice. And he leaves. Okay?
Plants an idea in
Yeah, but he didn't stay. So he's left me with some alcohol, 750 ml. Me, I'm sipping it nicely. The day it ended, I remembered what this guy, Aaron, tells me. So I send him up, please call me. I tell him, come with your pickup. And I tell him, my house is a 3-bedroom house. Nice doors, everything. I tell him, open up all these doors. All. He's excited. He called his handyman. They came there and did all the doors for a measly 500 bob in total.
For all the doors.
For all the doors.
And I know, all of us, we're getting all these reactions, really. We're I don't know if fascinated is the right word to use really at this point, but it really goes to show how deep of a problem alcoholism is. And we're talking about addiction in this case because now it goes just from a drinking problem to affecting all these other areas of your life. And one would say availability. They are very much available that anyone can access access it. Whether you are a minor, whether you are, I don't know how many years old, there's availability. And availability, especially for the illicit ones, right? Counterfeit ones, which are very much available. So then when it comes to these laws and very strict laws and policies as far as, you know, caring for this availability aspect of the same, I mean, where are we as a country?
I think we definitely have quite a lot of work to do to address the issue of availability and access. And that's why I mentioned that it must be the responsibility of all of us, so that then we address that challenge.
Right.
And then even when we make alcohol available, then it has to be that which is legitimate.
Okay.
Yes, it has to be something that for those who take, then we don't have situations like where we have people losing their lives. But then also the element of awareness and education must go hand in hand with all these efforts, so that then people really get to know that whatever they're getting into, these are the side effects, these are the repercussions. And now for those who are now suffering, then we have a responsibility to look after them.
Okay.
Yes.
But what are, like, then the biggest challenge for the same? Because the laws are there, the policies are there. I mean, someone actually made this joke and said, you know, Kenya is one of those countries has the best policies, the best laws, but then when it comes to implementation of these policies and these laws is where there's a problem. So from your ministry, if I can say, what is the biggest challenge? Why aren't we enforcing some of these beautiful laws and policies that we have? And, you know, amongst them is making sure that issues of counterfeit, issues of, you know, illicit brews and alcohol are no longer an issue right here in the country, and especially in this day and age.
I think we definitely are doing the enforcement, but then just like I've said, we have all these players. So the businessman who wants to make a kill, and you try to cut corners. The manufacturer or the importer who also wants to cut corners. So in all this, we have purpose to now bring everybody on the table.
All right.
So, for example, even the ethanol that is used to manufacture alcohol, there is what is happening across our neighbors, whether it's in Tanzania or Uganda. So the tax regime, we need to harmonize all that. So there's all these efforts that all of us must be responsible for.
Okay.
And if we leave it to the government alone, it won't work.
Yeah.
And even with the enforcement, I'm sure there's someone in the audience who probably knows a policeman. So you've been flagged down. You are calling the PS, or you are calling so and so.
I know someone.
Yes. Yeah. So those are some of the things that, as a country, we must just be very deliberate and agree that if something is not right, it's not right, and we support the government in ensuring that this enforcement actually works.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. I'm going to open the floor right now. Again, like I said, I know you have so many questions for our panelists. So we have microphones across, so just stand. Please state your name and have your question as brief as possible, because I know so many people have questions. And I also have some of the questions ready from the audience. But for now, shoot up your hand very quickly. Pose your question. All right, we have a gentleman here. Or if you can just do like a line here and a line probably here, so that it's very quick for us to, you know, exchange the mics and answer all your questions. But we have a gentleman here. Please state your name and your question. Keep them as brief as possible. Walewa, swali la kwanza, swali la pili, swali la tatu. Let's just stick to one question so that we allow as many people to ask their questions as possible.
Yes, good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
My name is Tony Blair Onyango, a student at the Technical University of Kenya. I'm the chairperson of Onagi Comrades Alliance. My question is very short and to the PS. There's something about this draft national government village administration policy, and I'd really love you to elaborate that policy, especially in regards to combating or dealing with illicit brews. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Bwana PS, do you want to answer that as we... All right. We have a hand over there. Okay, Bwana PS, do you want to answer that as we... Yes.
Yes, so Thank you. What is referring to is a policy we are coming up with as a national government to try to support the administration of government services, particularly at the very low level, at the village level. And when you go back down to the village beyond the chief and the assistant chief, you have a village elder. And they play a very critical role in terms of just helping keep our villages safe, in terms of disseminating information, but also in terms of pulling the resources together. And what we see them supporting us beyond everything else, once that policy is enacted, is that then they would help us with the issues around enforcement. Because at the village level, whether there's a changa den or there's a shop, a back street shop that sells alcohol, then we are able to know who is doing what and whether they're doing it in the right way. So to that extent, it will be a plus for us as government in terms of enforcement.
All right.
But also we'll be able to use them for purposes of creating awareness. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. All right. We had a hand. Okay. Yes. Okay. Let's have him first, and then we'll have you get the mic to you. Okay.
Hi, everyone. I'm Otiembo Joseph. I'm a recovering drug addict, and sadly, that drug addiction drove me to crime. So apart from recovering from drug addiction, I'm also a recovering criminal. And just as the story goes from very many of us, drug brought me from teaching at a national school, another school, biology and chemistry teacher, to a wanted criminal in the slums of Madare. That's how bad the situation was. My question is, we have had very many cases of relapses where people leave rehabilitation centers and then they go back to addiction. And most of this thing is, the main cause of that is maybe lack of follow-up. So my question is, what are the mechanisms maybe the government is putting in place to ensure that at least such the policies and the mechanisms they put in place are followed up to ensure that they achieve the intended purpose? Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. Boniface, I think most of these questions are directed to you. Okay. All right. Let's get to hear what your question is.
Thank you very much.
And state the person you want your question to answer.
I have several questions, but I have
several. Okay. Can you stick to one, please? Yes.
Thank you. I'll come back again. My name is Joshua Adem from Hope Hospice. And my question will go direct to our lady seated direct.
Caroline, yes.
Thank you very much for your bold opening. To you, can you share with the audience here that after or as you were now withdrawing from alcoholism, that instinct that made you to leave the work, by the times whenever somebody looks at you, you feel irritated. Was it from the previous drinking, or is it just within you, after leaving the alcohol, you just feel that thing is still moving within your system? Does it remain in your blood system that it becomes irritated? Sometimes it arises. Or when you leave, you feel you go back to normal. So can you share with us, after withdrawing from drinking, do you feel sometimes like something is irritating you and you become like you took it yesterday? Thank you.
All right. One of you, do you want to go first and then Caroline?
Yes. Okay. So his story is like many other stories. And it speaks to the gravity of the challenge that we are dealing with as a society. You can imagine having been a successful teacher in a national school, you're able to take care of yourself, you're able to take care of your family, and then you degenerate to the point that now the police are running after you, and nobody probably wants to be associated with you. And when we look at this, of course, again, there is the issue of the support system. And this is what I was talking about in terms of whether you're having the rehabilitation centers. And even after that, when someone has recovered, what mechanisms do we have in place for purposes of follow-up and also supporting these people to have a decent livelihood, so that then there is no temptation to fall back to what they were used to. Because as you get out of that practice, there are people you are with in that space who would probably be urging you on, telling you what you're missing. So there has to be an elaborate program that allows us to follow up beyond stopping from people to get to the point where they're classified as addicts. And as they recover, we must have proper mechanisms of follow-up. And that is what I was saying, that even at the level of the counties, we need to have facilities and a way of being able to trace and follow up and support and keep encouraging. And when we have success stories and good stories like Kata, those stories must be told. And I think this is one of those forums that we are using this opportunity to let everybody concerned and affected know that all is not lost.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Caroline is here as well. And Caroline, do you want to respond to that question? But just allow me to bid goodbye to all our audiences who are tuning in on NTV. We have to say goodbye to you because I can see 9 minutes to the top of the hour to allow room for 7 p.m. news. But thank you so much for watching, and I'm glad you could be part of this conversation. If you asked your question on our socials, we'll be, reading them out loud, get all the answers, or actually just responding to you directly if you really need to get your answers as soon as possible. But for now, allow us to bid you goodbye. Caroline?
To answer your question, I'll answer it in two parts. Like I said earlier, the mind of an alcoholic or a substance user.
Five, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1.